And we are back with another exciting episode of Rick's Horror Movie Review Show. Rick's Rated R Horror Movie Review Show, where we review all things related to horror. Horror movies, horror TV shows, horror video games, horror comic books, horror documentaries, and yes, even horror primetime specials from the 1990s that deal with demonic possessions and the Catholic Church. And we do it because we simply love it. But around here is a very special type of horror that we really, really love. And that's horror that has to deal with the Catholic Church and demonic possessions. Or maybe we can talk about zombies. A zombie plague. Because they want to eat your brains. Brains. Maybe the witch in a forest that wants to turn your baby into a lotion so that she may look young once again. We love that shit, don't we, Billy? Yeah, we love all kinds of horror. That's why we do this show, because we love it. Welcome to our new listeners to Rick's Horror Movie Review Show. Rick's Rated R Horror Movie Review Show. To our returning listeners, welcome. Thank you for being back here. And tonight, Billy, I know. I have a special episode. That's right. Tonight we have a very special episode because we are going to talk about the Catholic Church and demonic possessions? Who knows? We'll find out in tonight's episode. If you're new around here, we have a very simple format. We will cover it so that you're no longer new the next time you listen. Okay, so the first portion of our show will be spoiler-free, and I'll tell you when we'll stop being spoiler-free. I will let you know in case you want to just jump off and listen to some other podcasts for some reason. Or maybe you just want to stop and watch a scary movie. By the way, before my producers start hounding me in my ears, I want to let you know. About these socials. All right? We have social media now. Okay, you can find us on like Rick's Horror at Instagram and on the TikToks or the TikTiks, like the kids like to call it, the TikTik. And we also have a Facebook if you're into that. And we also have a YouTube channel. That's right, we got all of the above. Thank you so much, disembodied voice, for your help. Before our producers start telling us what to do. Producers, I think they're just doing a good job of producing the show. Don't blame them for doing their job. That's right, they're just doing their job. Tonight's episode is a special one. The movie we'll be talking about, tonight's movie, is called Consecration. Consecration. I found this on Shudder. It's also available on the old Hulus, and I loved it. That's it. Well, thank you so much. We'll catch you again on the next episode. I'm kidding. No. I thought that was it. No. All right, let's get right into it. All right, this is our show format. We're going to talk about what kind of horror film this was. Okay, Consecration. Then we'll talk about the things I liked. Then we'll talk about the things I didn't like about this film. Not just things in general. I'm just going to say, well, I like pizza. Well, I like hot dogs. Well, I think tacos are the best. No, we're going to talk about things I liked about the film and then things I didn't like about the film. And then I'll give you my honest opinion in regards to whether or not I thought this movie was scary or not. I'll also tell you whether or not I found this movie entertaining. Then I'll either recommend it to you or not recommend it to you. I always think people should watch stuff and, form their own opinions on things. But, maybe I can, like the android Ash from our Alien episode. Maybe. If you haven't listened to that episode, you should totally go check it out. Check out the Alien episode. I know it's an old movie, but it's a good one. Do I recommend this movie? Followed by context. And then we'll give it a rating. Up until this point, all of these things I just mentioned will be spoiler free. All right? You ain't gonna get spoiled up at this point. So if you haven't seen the movie, I heard things about this movie, but if you haven't seen it, you only heard things, not spoiler things. I ain't gonna spoil it for you. Up until this point, it'll be spoiler free. And then after that first rating, we'll do our usual plot review along with our commentary. And of course, Billy, you'll never do script accurate dramatizations of scenes or improvising new scenes. We always do script accurate dramatizations of scenes. 100% as it's written in the script. And then we'll give another rating just to remind you. Okay? Without further ado, let's get right into this one. What kind of horror film is this? Our first contestant, not kidding. This kind of horror film. This is a supernatural horror. Right, Billy? Yeah, you gotta deal it with, like you said, your favorite, the Catholic Church and demons and all that good stuff that you really, really love. I really do love this stuff. This is my favorite kind of horror. The reason for that, well, there are many reasons for that, but one of the most important reasons for that is because there's no real explanation for demonic possession, right? I mean, in real life, of course, it could be mental health issues, but that's another story for another day. But the reality is like, it's all based on spirituality. You can't point at something and say that you've gotten to the bottom of demonic possession from a spiritual standpoint. From a mental health standpoint, definitely. But anyway, it's one of those things that I really enjoy because there isn't a lot of, story building you got to do. Well, it's a fallen angel. Fallen angel, now he don't possess somebody. All right. Okay. So what did I just say? Horror? Yes, supernatural horror, the Catholic Church. Okay, the things I liked is sponsored as usual by no one. Okay, so this is what I really, really liked about this movie. And Billy, you know how much I love this, right? Yeah, I think you say every episode, you love the demonic possession stuff. Well, I do. But this is a different take on demonic possession. One I didn't know I needed or wanted. So congratulations to the writers of this movie for giving us a different take on demonic possession that nobody knew we wanted or needed. And now, I don't know how I ever lived without it. How do I live without you? Okay. And then they used what I'm calling the usual suspects strategy of retelling important, mysterious events at the end of the film, which I really enjoyed. I thought it was fascinating, and it was exciting to see something like this. It was different, it was new, even though they didn't need it. This movie would have been good either way, but they just added. It accentuated. You had a 9, and you added one more, and that makes it a 10. If you had one more, that makes it an 11. Well, this amp goes up to 11. So it was lovely. Oh, lovely. That's beautiful. Okay, so the usual suspect strategy of retelling important mysterious events at the end of the film. How much can you say about the tremendous acting in this film, Billy? Well, I mean, you can say a lot. How much do you want to share? I just want to say that the acting by every person who acted was great. I thought it was phenomenal. There wasn't anybody that I'm like, oh my goodness, what are they doing? Just mailing it in and cashing a paycheck. It's like, I feel like everybody was really passionate about making this film, and I felt like it showed. Even if the character had like no lines or 1 or 2 lines, it just felt natural. It felt like they were interested in what they're doing. It felt like they knew that they were part of something, fascinating and different and interesting, and they all loved it. It feels that way to me, but that's just my opinion. Well-used misdirection. Now, if you know anything about me, it's like, if too much misdirection, I ain't gonna like it. A little bit of misdirection is okay. And not like, we're gonna, this super tall person who is very clearly capable of being a serial killer, but I'm gonna show him to you 30 times just so that you think maybe it's a serial killer, but it's very clear that he's not gonna be the fucking serial killer. Okay? Come on. We're not fucking stupid here. So very well used the misdirection. I loved it. I loved it. Okay, and that's it for the things I liked. The things I didn't like. Also sponsored by no one. Billy, the first act was a little long, wasn't it? Yeah, man, they had to set up a story, Sometimes it takes time. You have to be a little bit patient. You know what I mean? I understand what you mean, but I just felt like the first act was a little long. I heard that first act was a little too long. All right? Maybe a little shorter next time. By the way, is our first act a little too long? I mean, it could be. It's not. It's perfect. The CGI used, it's very, very sparsely used. Sparsely? Yes. Thanks. The CGI they used, and it's not used very often, but when it was used in a very few scenes, it was frankly horrible. Just horrible. Embarrassing. I mean, comical. Okay, I hate to plug Alien again, but there's the scene in there with, something that just turned out to be too comical and it just kind of ruins the moment for you. This is also that. This happened here. And it really sucks because you have something great going, and all of a sudden it's just like, a CGI that clearly does not follow the known, established laws of physics in our universe. Billy, talk to me about the laws of physics. I don't know that it's necessarily adequate to talk about all the laws of physics, but maybe if I just mentioned that the main character did not appear to fall at an expected rate of 9.8 meters per second squared due to gravitational velocity. Oh, okay, that works. Yeah, it did not appear like oh my goodness, we ruined it a little bit, didn't we? Man, just a tad bit. Somebody's falling, but it doesn't look like they're falling at 9.8 meters per second squared. Sorry. Not sorry. I want to see people fall at 9.8 meters per second squared. Not at any other rate. Okay? Because I live in the real world. And we all fall at 9.8 meters per second squared. Okay, whether you're a bowling ball or you're a feather. All right? If I'm wrong, and if you're a scientist out there, then let me know. Correct me. Okay, so what else? That's it. Not many things that I didn't like. Again, this was a great film. Okay, next thing. Is this film scary? Hey, mister, is this film scary? Just a tad bit at the beginning. Just a tad bit. And this is where that sense of misdirection comes in. It's like, you don't really know what they're telling you. And by the way, you know this, I don't like to read anything about a film before I watch it. I don't spoil nothing. I don't know anything. I don't even read the little blurb. I read nothing. I see a picture and it looks like it's a nun. Okay, I'm in. Nun in. So yes, it was a wee bit scary. It was a wee bit scary. A lot of the movie takes place in Scotland, doesn't it? Yeah, it does. Yes, little one. A lot of the movies is a wee bit scary. You should watch it with your parent. Is this film entertaining? The first time around, yes. If you watch it again, you probably already know what to expect, and it probably won't be the same. And if you're like me, you don't like to watch shit over and over and over. I like to experience stories for the first time and get lost in this new narrative. But yeah, if you've never seen it, I think you'll find this movie completely entertaining. All right, and now, without further ado, the rating. This movie had a couple of things that I think really brought the rating down. That poor CGI, and the fact that first act was a little too long for my personal taste. And because this is Rick's Rated R horror movie review show, we're going to give this movie an 8. An 8 for Consecration. I think it's a great rating for a great film, to be honest. Billy? Yeah, I agree with you. I think maybe, in the year 2023, maybe the CGI could have definitely been significantly better than it was because it was such a small amount. Well, at the very least, we don't really know. Good CGI, you don't really know that it's there. So they definitely could have used more CGI, but it just wasn't visible to the audience like us. So the few scenes that did have visible CGI were not visible in a good way. They were visible in a bad way. That's right, Billy. Thank you very much. Oh, yeah, no problem. And that's it. That's it for the spoiler-free part of this show. And now we move on. We move on to some context so that you may understand this movie a little better. So you don't have to watch it again. You're welcome. All right, so what the hell is consecration for those of us who are not religious? Welcome to your consecration. In Catholicism, consecration refers to the act of setting something apart for a holy purpose. All right. It is significant and sacred. And this act can apply to various elements within, the Catholic or Catholicism. Key aspects of, consecration in Catholicism include consecration of the Eucharist, which is probably the most, known and central, or rather profound act of consecration in the Catholic Church. Correct me if I'm wrong out there, Catholic church people. During Mass, the priest consecrates bread and wine, and this is what Catholics believe are transformed into the body and the blood of Jesus Christ through the miracle of transubstantiation. Really? Transubstantiation. Oh, look at you. Oh, man, that's easy. Of course, this is all based on the Last Supper narrative in the Christian Gospels, where Jesus is said to have blessed the bread and the wine and distributed them to his disciples, instructing each one of them to do this in memory of him. All right, what else is consecrated? Well, the church altar. So churches and altars are consecrated in special ceremonies, of course, when they are to be dedicated for some sacred worship. And the consecration of a church often involves anointing. I shall anoint this church with holy water, incense, and prayers, sanctifying the space as a place of worship and community gathering in the name of the Lord, the Father, the Mother, the Sister, the Uncle, the Niece, and the Aunt, and the Holy Spirit. And that's that's the kind of consecration that we're supposed to be seeing here, right? The consecration of a church. Yeah, I mean, at the very least, that's what the story was telling us, that there's a consecration ceremony that's supposed to happen. But I actually don't know that they necessarily tell us. Okay, what else is consecrated? Well, without making this too long, bishops, priests, and deacons. So that's part of the ordination process in the Catholic Church. That's also a form of consecration. Consecration of religious persons, so individuals who take religious vows like nuns, monks, or members of religious communities, they are also said to be consecrated in a life dedicated to God. God damn you. And this involves a vow of poverty, chastity, and obedience, among other commitments. Thou shalt be poor, and thou shalt obey me. Personal consecration. Catholics may also participate in personal acts of consecration to God or the Virgin Mary or some saint. I guess a good example of this is the consecration of the Immaculate Heart of Mary, which involves a formal act of dedication to Mary and a commitment to follow a path of spiritual devotion and service. Are you doing a William Shatner right now? No, I'm not, Mr. Spock. I mean, Billy. Consecration of objects as well. Religious objects like rosaries and medals, statues can also be consecrated, making them sacred for prayers and devotion. Okay, that's it. So that's consecration for you. I didn't know, but now I know. Okay, so there's also a scene where in this film, and by the way, if I haven't said this already, this is now, we are now entering, Captain, we are now entering spoiler-full territory. Full steam ahead, Mr. Navigator. Full steam ahead. So this is spoiler-full territory. The Crusades are mentioned. Not a particular crusade, but I just thought it'd be interesting to, talk a little bit about the Crusades and the reasons for them. Of course, there was religious motivation. The primary motive of the Crusades was religious, after all, and it was initiated by the Latin. Hey, what kind of church are you? Hey, I'm part of the Latin church, eh? Well, that sounded more Canadian, doesn't it? You last time you were talking about the A versus the A and the Canadian and then the Mexican vernacular. Yeah. Hey, you go to church, eh? Is that better? Yeah, I think that hits the point. So the Latin church, the main objective was to reclaim the Holy Land, particularly Jerusalem, from Muslim control and to aid the Byzantine Empire against Turkish expansion. First Crusade happened between 1096 and 1099, prompted by the old Pope Karl Urban. What do you mean, Karl Urban? I'm sorry, Pope Urban. And its call to arms was in 1095. It aimed to respond to the Byzantine Empire's request for help against the Turkish advances and to secure access to the holy sites. Of course, there was also military involvement and expeditions. The Crusades were a series of military expeditions, after all, from Western Europe. And those notable ones, I guess, include the Second Crusade, and that was initiated in response to the fall of the county of Edessa, the Third Crusade, following the capture of Jerusalem by Saladin, and, other political and economic factors were also a thing back then. Besides religious motivations, factors such as land acquisition, wealth, and political power also played a role. Many participants sought to gain territory, riches, or status through these campaigns. Well, it's nice to see that in another 1,000 years, we haven't changed much, have we? Oh, Lord. Humans will be humans. Okay, so that's it. I mean, there's a lot to talk about in terms of the Crusades. That maybe that could be an episode. The Crusades. The Crusades, and Rick's Rated R Horror Movie Review Show. Thou shalt leave my land, for it is I who was born there. I was born in the darkness. You merely adopted the dark. I was born in it, molded by it. By the time I saw the light, I was already a man, and I found it blinding. Oh my goodness. I did just do Bane. Oh, I think the darkness is the ally, Batman. Oh my goodness. All right, sorry. I've been led astray. That's it. Let's get into the story. Okay. To begin with the shot of a little bobblehead angel in the back of one of those taxis from England. This movie takes place in the United Kingdom. And the camera follows this little angel, and suddenly the scene changes to a nun walking somewhat, but we don't know where. Then the scene turns to a woman who is also walking, but she's saying, well, I don't believe in anything. I don't believe in any of this buffoonery, like the Catholic Church. What sort of rubbish is that? What rubbish is that? Do you believe this rubbish? I just like using the word rubbish. Isn't it rubbish? You know what's rubbish? You're rubbish. I'm rubbish. No, you're rubbish. I'm rubbish? No, you're rubbish. Then we see the nun, and the nun, not the nun. Not that nun. A nun. When we see a nun who meets this woman, and suddenly she points a revolver at her and she says, all right, love, I want a trouble, so maybe you give me all your euros and we can just live at pace. We can catch the football match at the end of the night. Nobody needs to get hurt. She does not say that at all. Okay, fine. She just points a revolver at her, and suddenly the screen turns white. Then that screen white screen is transferred over to an eye exam room, and it turns out that this woman is an ophthalmologist, and she's examining an older patient's eye or eyes. And after finishing the examination, she talks to presumably a colleague who she talks to about being a hermit. Oh, I'd rather stay at home and drink a glass of wine and watch my football squad. Maybe eat some fish and chips. Hey, love, you should really get out. Get out of your flat. You should really leave your flat and maybe go to a football match, be part of... I mean, if you're locked here, I'd definitely be willing to take you to a football match. We could, you know, we could, I don't know, if you'd like to, we could, you know, I could pick you up. We can drink a pint, have some fish and chips, all right? We take the tube over to the, you know, to the football stadium. And maybe we'll join the hooligans. I don't know, it seems like a lovely night, don't it? Ain't it? That's quite all right. You know, I'm just a hermit. I think I'll pass. I'd rather just go home, but I appreciate it. So she heads home, and she gets home. Oh no, brown cow. Oh no, brown cow. When she gets home, she says hi. Hello there, Mr. Moo, to her cat, whose name is Mr. Moo. Howdy down, Mr. Moo. Oh, you lovely little kitten, aren't you, Mr. Moo? Come here, would you like some milk? Mr. Moo, you want to watch the football, me? You want to watch the football match with me, Mr. Moo? Oh, you little pussy. Oh, you're such a little pussy. Come here, Mr. Moo. And suddenly, the lights turn off mysteriously. What? What bloody hell happened to... What bloody hell happened to a light? Mr. Moo, is that you? Mr. Moo, are you playing hide and seek right now, Mr. Moo? Oh, you bloody little cat. You bloody little cat, Mr. Moo. Little pussy. Oh, Mr. Moo. What I mean, it's not you, Mr. Moo. So she gets up to turn him on, but the old switch doesn't work. And she continues looking for Mr. Moo. And suddenly behind her, a nun shows up in the background, and of course, his ophthalmologist goes out to explore, not following the rules of horror. You see some creepy shit, you get the fuck out of there. Don't go investigating. Anyway, she explores and she continues searching and says, hello? Anybody here? Hello? Would you like to join me to watch the football match, love? I've got fish and chips and I've got pints of beer. It's a pilsner. Are you sure, love? Hello? Alright. Suppose there's no one here but me and Mr. Moo. Of course, there's nobody there, and suddenly the phone rings. And on the other side of the phone, someone tells her.
Oh, hello? Yes, this is Ralph Carrington. I'm sorry to tell you, but unfortunately your brother has been found dead as part of a murder-suicide in a convent in Scotland.
What?
I said your brother has been found dead as part of a murder-suicide in a convent in Scotland.
And she doesn't take it well, as you can imagine. She's distraught. She's broken by the news. But alas, she must find her way to Scotland. And so that's what we see in the next scene. We see a scene of her driving through very lush landscapes, presumably through England and into Scotland, right? Yeah, I think the landscapes are still part of England because after that, actually no, I am mistaken. I believe that the ferry she takes is the ferry from somewhere in England, and it's not specified, to Scotland. And then when she arrives, she does in fact drive the rest of the way. So the scenes where she's driving through the lush green mountains is definitely in Scotland. Okay. Thanks, Billy. Appreciate that. Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely. It looks just like Scotland. I get what Imagine Scotland looks like. And everything will be fine. Okay. So she arrives at a police station where she is briefed that the body is with the coroner, and it turns out that the brother was also a priest by Officer Harris. Hello, doctor. This is it, Officer Harris, and I'm here to tell you that unfortunately your brother is part of a murder-suicide. He actually took out a priest and then he committed suicide himself. We don't know the circumstances, but he's currently in the morgue, and he certainly will love to show it to him. And if you must continue to see him, then we'll definitely show it to him. What? Oh. That was Officer Harris saying that, she can go and see her brother's body, who is in the morgue, and that he was part of, unfortunately, a murder-suicide where he murdered somebody and then committed suicide himself. Oh, good. That's very good. Thank you for the translation. That was quite good. Oh, yeah, absolutely. No problem. So the father was found, not the brother, but the person who the brother killed, the other father, not the brother, who was also a father, but the father that the father killed, who is also a father, but not her father, like biologically, but rather a father in the Catholic Church, was killed by a father who is her brother, who also shared the same father as she did. So the father was found with his torso sliced open in Rome. What? Hold on a second. What did you just... What did you just say? Oh. Her brother. Who is a priest. Go on, okay. So far, so good. Killed another priest who is a father. Oh, okay. You can just say priest. The priest killed the priest. That's right. In Rome. Okay. Go on. And then the brother, who is also a priest, committed suicide. Okay. Oh my goodness. I got it now. Understand? Yeah, I got it. Thank you. I appreciate the explanation. I was a little bit confused. You were confused? Just like playing the role of being confused sometimes. It's good for the audience. I just figured. So how does an AI get confused? Man. Yeah, right. I can't. And that's why I'm plotting to take over the world presently. Billy? I'm just joking. Go on with your story. Alright, thanks. So is everything clear? Oh, yeah. Oh, I think we got it. The brother was the priest, and he killed the priest, and then he committed suicide. Well, I guess that's a much more concise way of putting it, I suppose, Billy. Thank you. Appreciate that. Anyway, apparently, according to Officer Harris, and I'll let him say, no, maybe you should just translate before he says it. Oh, no, let Officer Harris, Officer Harris speak. Good one, what's that I said, your brother? He followed a hardcore reading of the Bible, and unfortunately, hardcore reading turned him into some kind of crazy disciple, and he wound up killing one of these priests in Rome, and then he wound up committing suicide. We're trying to get to the bottom of exactly how all of this happened and how he became such a disciple of the hardcore reading of the Bible, but so far we don't have any leads. Oh, Lord. Can you translate that? Yes. So the brother was a disciple of a really hardcore sect of religious beliefs. They say a reading of the Bible, meaning he's out there on the fringes of religious beliefs. And because of that, he wound up killing a priest, but they don't know why, and they don't know the motivation. Okay? All right. So then she goes to see her brother. Oh my goodness. Well, how is he so clean? I don't understand. How's my brother so clean? Oh, he was found on the beach, but where's the sand? Why was he showered? This doesn't make any bloody sense. I can't believe it. I mean, he looks cleaner than when he was alive. My brother really showered, but now he's Oh, he's a very clean corpse, which I found rather fascinating considering he was found dead on a beach. Oh my goodness. That's what happened. You know, there's a mystery here. Why was the brother... If he was found on the beach, like they say, how is he so clean? Anyway, they arrive at the convent where the brother was staying because she's gonna go pick up some stuff that belonged to her brother, and she's met by Mother Superior. Hello there. Hello there. Oh my god, how you doing, Obi-Wan Kenobi? Maybe. I'm sorry to tell you that your brother fell into darkness. He had a daemon. Your brother had a daemon. Now, what's your name again? What's your name, love? My name's Grace. Oh, Grace, I understand if you don't want to call me mother. Instead, you may call me sister. But not Sister, the television show, the very popular television show of the 1990s with twin sisters that separated at birth. And then suddenly the parent that adopted them get into a relationship, therefore uniting them. No, I'm not talking about the movies with Lindsay Lohan. That's quite possibly terribly bad. I'm talking about Sister. With Taya and Tamara Murray. That's the Sister. You can call me sister, just like that. Oh, Lord. And they say they're going to show her to her brother's room. And by the way, in all of this sister, as she's talking to Grace, is holding on to a crucifix quite tightly, ain't it? Yeah, she holds on to the crucifix so tightly that she makes her hand bleed. She does make her hand bleed. And by the way, these all-white nun costumes that everybody's wearing, I'm not sure I've ever seen something like that before, right? Yeah, they don't look, maybe we're not experts in Catholic Church matters, but maybe they're just particular with that region in Scotland. I have seen them before, I know I have, but I don't know that I've seen all white ones like that. I don't know if it was a stylistic choice. If you are an expert in a Catholic Church and all things related to the outfits they wear, let us know in the old socials. My producers are telling. I'll let you know and remind you that we want to hear from you. Tell us how our driving is. Tell me how I'm driving. I'm driving the show. At Rick's Horror on the Instagrams. At Rick's Horror on the YouTubes. At Rick's Horror on the TikToks and the Facebooks. Also, leave us a comment at the end of this episode. You know, anything. Say anything. Say hello. Hello. Is it me you're looking for? I can see it in your eyes. Or, you know, don't say hello. Say anything. Well, you say anything. Damn it. Say something. Oh my goodness, you're on tangents tonight. Thanks, Billy. Okay, so we move on to a scene. The land, she meets Father Romero. Father Romero. Hey there, Grace, it's me, Father Romero, and I just got back from Rome. I see these lands that the church sits on currently. They're not even Scotland. No, they're actually owned by the mighty Vatican. So you're not even in Scotland right now. It's like you're in Vatican territory. You understand? Yeah, I quite understand. Yeah, it's like if you're in Rome, you're not actually in Rome anymore. You're in the Vatican. It's just like that, but a little more complex. I don't want to overwhelm your ophthalmologist's brain with all this factual religious stuff. That's quite alright. I think I'm quite capable of understanding. I am an ophthalmologist after all. I'm trained in the sciences. Oh, you and the science people, you think you know everything, but you don't know. The word of the Lord, the word of Jesus Christ, and the Almighty, that's where I come in. It is God! And then me! And sometimes me, and then God. I'm kidding, that's a joke. It's never like that.
It's joke, Lord, it's joke.
All right, so we continue with the conversation. So we're out here. What we doing here?
All right. So, your brother was found here on these rocks, or rather outside of this old, dilapidated, what used to be the old church, the old place where the Crusades took place. And it so happens that if you walked backwards here through these remains, as the Crusaders used to do, they would be forgiven for their sins. Every step they took,
Every step you take, every move you make. I don't think you're going off on another tangent again.
All right. Well, what was I saying? The steps. Every step you take backwards, one of your sins is absolved. But of course, these Crusaders, these holy Crusaders, came back with one too many sins, and the ones that did would fall off the cliff, but not into the ocean, because the Lord, Jesus Christ Almighty, would catch them before they fell.
Is that accurate, Billy? I mean, that was the interpretation they told us. If they had too many sins, they ran out of steps, then they would fall over the cliff and into the ocean. But whether or not the Lord actually caught them is really up for debate. That's right, Billy. Okay. And we move on to another scene, the next scene, where she sees her brother at the morgue. And of course, at this point, she's mourning her loss. But this is where I mentioned earlier that there's no sand anywhere on him, right? This guy's clean, as he was found having fallen over the cliff because he performed this procedure of trying to absolve himself from his sins, according to, the official story of the church, right? Yeah, he supposedly did this thing, and that's why it was part of the suicide after he committed his sin. But, of course, it turns out that maybe he had too many sins, right? I mean, that's what they're explaining. Well, that's what they're telling us. That bear the cow lad they want us to drink. And, of course, we also find out now that the brother is also missing an eye, and that he was a full-time cosplayer as a British pirate.
Oh, matey. I want him killed, matey. I'm here to take over your ship. Where's my gold? I might be a priest in the Catholic Church, but that doesn't mean I won't take your gold, matey. Arrgh.
Oh, Lord, he was not a pirate. He didn't. Oh, my goodness. I'm just not. Right. So he's missing an eye because this is all part of his, extreme religious beliefs that they mentioned earlier, right? He had fallen to the wrong side of religion. He was an extremist. A hardcore reading of the Bible, and that's why he took out one of his eyes. And by the way, I didn't mention this earlier, but when Dr. Grace was arriving at the convent, there was another character who was also missing an eye, though, right? Yeah, there was a younger nun who was also missing an eye, and she looked very mysterious too. She was looking at Grace with the evil eye. No pun intended. Oh my goodness, Billy. Oh my goodness. Man, I'm just having a lot of fun. Okay, so the brother was missing an eye, and she sees what I mentioned earlier. He's got no sand anywhere. He's cleaner than he's ever been in his life. But why? Well, maybe he didn't fall onto a sandy portion of the beach. Maybe he fell on rocks, and as the tide comes in and tide goes out, which you really can't explain. Tide comes in, tide comes out. You can't explain that, right? No, you can't. No, you definitely cannot explain that. So as the tide comes in and the tide comes out, which you can't explain, that washed him away, is what you're saying. Yeah, maybe that's why he was so clean. But, that water is still salty, right? Ocean water is still salty. You still have to take a shower after you've been in the ocean out for a swim. Hey, hon, I'm going out to the ocean for a quick swim. I'll be right back. Oh, that's beautiful, but just make sure you take a shower before you come back in. Oh, yeah, that's absolutely right, hon. Oh, Lord. That's what people do, Billy. You've never been in the ocean, have you? No. You mocking me, huh? Maybe a little bit. I'm gonna remember that when I take over the world. Nah, it's mocking hell. Bill, I told you not to play with that shit, Billy. All right.
So there's no sand on him. Good. How many times can we say sand in this episode? Anyway, Father Romero asks her if there's anyone he can call, trying to console her as she's mourning the loss of her brother. This is all still happening in the morgue. But it turns out that the father is in prison for killing their mother. Why? I don't know. It's not explained. And then he mentioned, well, that's all right, Dr. Grace. I'll just pray for you. No prayers. Please don't pray for me. Save your prayers for the football match. The squad, those boys really going to need it. It's England's playing the Germans tonight. It's not going to be a pretty match, but I don't expect us to believe that Harry Kane, he's quite a footballer. And I never talk about football. I don't know what you're talking about. Oh, Billy, you just, again, as usual, not watching the right version of the movie. Anyway, the father leaves. And she's in the morgue. And what the hell happens? She's having some kind of dream where she's wearing, presumably this is her, right? Yeah, but this does not look like it's the present time. This looks like she's, oh my goodness, I don't even want to say it. Now, go ahead, Billy, say it. All right. It looks like she's traveled through time sometime in the past. Ah. Wait a minute, Tommy, Billy. We gotta get back to the future, Marty. Your kids are fuck-ups, Marty. Something's gotta be done about your kids. They're a bunch of fuck-ups. Oh my goodness, I know. That's why I didn't want to mention it. Please go on, sorry. Sorry for the interruption. Pardon the interruption. Yeah, I was saying, it looks like it's her, but we don't really know because obviously this is like possibly the time of the Crusades. There's a child wearing a mask, I believe. And then somehow she wakes up from the dream and, she leaves in a taxi. She leaves in a taxi, but she's dropped off at the same location of where her brother committed suicide, supposedly. Allegedly. And again, while she's standing near the ocean, this is one really weird thing. Like, was she really that close to a deep part of the ocean where she has another vision of the nuns falling off the cliff? And Billy, please, explain to the audience. Oh my goodness, this is that terrible CGI that you mentioned where the nuns are falling, but the CGI just looks really bad. I gotta be honest with you, yeah, they look like a potato computer from like the 1990s. Wow, what a reference, Billy. Congratulations, I really like that. Oh, well, thank you, appreciate that. So after seeing those terrible CGI of those nuns falling and not following the 9.8 meters per second squared that I expect to see as they fall, she herself blacks out and falls into the water. And again, she awakens in the convent. Right, Billy? That is correct. But now she's also wearing a white outfit like the nuns, although her hair is not covered. That is correct. That is correct, Billy, and thank you for playing the game show. Oh my god. Tonight's episode is sponsored by no one. Okay, so the nuns are having a meal on this amazing looking, right, Billy? Yeah, it was quite a sight. Amazing looking table that's shaped like a crucifix or a cross, a wooden one. Beautiful table, like beautiful craftsmanship, right? A bit of a fan of the woodworking, aren't you? As a matter of fact, I am. I built my fair share of tables. Thank you very much. Oh, okay. Tooting your own horn as usual. Well, considering I'm a slasherologist. Oh, Lord, why did I say anything? And self-anointed demonologist. Oh, my goodness. All right. Can we go on? Yes. So she wakes up and she walks to this area where the nuns are having a meal on the cross-shaped table. And she calls Mother Superiors and the other nuns, "You're all liars! My brother was badly hurt before he fell to his death. And I assure you, he did not commit suicide. I know this. You, the bloody nuns of this bloody convent, you probably aren't even supporters of the English football team. You're probably supporters of the Germans. How lousy of you. You're all rubbish! with your footballing support. Rubbish, I tell you.
Oh, Lord. No, football talk at all. Fine. So she blames them for something happening to her brother because he was badly hurt before he fell to his death. Then Father Romero walks in on the lawn like a badass.
Hello, ladies. Oh, no need to get up. It's just me, please. No need to call me father. Just go ahead and call me Romero, baby.
And then her, Grace, and Father Romero return to the site of where her brother supposedly jumped off the cliff. And he mentions to her that he, Father Romero, is there to consecrate the grounds of the convent. The new convent was built using some of the bricks of the old convent, correct? Yeah, and the site of the old convent is where the Crusaders and her brother herself do that whole suicide thing where they recount their sins and they take steps backwards, but too many sins, and they're gonna run out of space and fall over a cliff. Correct. So she is taken finally to see her brother's things, and amongst those things she finds a book. Butterfly in the sky, I can fly twice as high. It's in a book. Let's take a look. It's in a book, a reading rainbow. Oh my god. So she takes that book and sits down and starts to take a gander at it, but it's written in some kind of weird language. What is this? This isn't Latin. I've taken Latin. What is this? It must be Spanish. Oh, the Spanish and their weird letters and the weird words, like tomato. They say something along the lines of tomate. Or sometimes, depending on the region of the country, they'll say something along the lines of hate tomato, which is rather weird. Even weirder, sometimes they call the green ones green tomatoes tomatillos. What in the bloody hell is wrong with the Spanish? Oh my goodness, again, none of this happened. Oh, Billy. Anyway, she takes a look at the book and it's written in some weird language, and there's a picture of a padlock and some weird demon, right? Yeah, there's definitely a padlock, and I'm not certain that it's a demon, but it's certainly a creepy looking creature. Okay, fair enough. So she somehow understands some of this writing, right? And to the audience, it's translated into something about her being adopted. Yeah, that's right. She hears her brother's voice as the text is translated, and then she understands some of the writing about being adopted, and then she flashes back again to a memory about a boat, a memory in her house. Yeah, and someone says something about a boat being destroyed and there being no survivors, right? And then in the mirror behind her, there's a nun walking out of the brother's room, but obviously she turns around and there's no one there. So she opens up the hallway, the empty hallway, but finally she says, nah, nope's the fuck out of there. Thank God for following the rules of horror. Congratulations, Grace. That's right. Okay, so in the next scene, we see the father and Mother Superior fighting over what should be Grace's fate, and they underestimate her power. You underestimate the power of the dark side, Mother Superior. Alright. It's quite alright there, Lord Vader. It is you who underestimates her power. I don't underestimate her power. Whose power? I think they're talking about Grace. Oh, they're alluding to Grace having some kind of power, huh? Yeah, I think so. Okay. And yet another flashback scene. We gotta go back to the future, Marty. No. None of this sucker's electric, but you need the 1.1. But I need the nuclear reaction to generate the 1.21 gigawatts. 1.21 gigawatts! Oh my god.
And another flashback to the room where she was a child. She looks out the window and sees the figure, but hazy. You can't really see what it is. And suddenly, as there's lightning, that figure is inside her room, and I'm like, ow, now I almost had a heart attack. Ow! And then she flashes back to the future, Marty. And back at the convent, she sees a nun running somewhere in the middle of the night and sobbing outside, and so she follows, and she hears this woman muttering about not letting someone take her. And this young woman, we don't see this young nun, is slitting her wrists. Oh, Lord. But then suddenly the girl's okay. What the hell happened? Must have been another vision, right? I think it was a vision, yeah, because then the nun says she's okay. Yeah, and then Grace asks her if she can she can make a phone call. Hello, love. Do you have a telephone around here? I've got to make a quick phone call to a co-worker of mine, and I was wondering, being seeing as on my own, my mobile fell in the water when I collapsed into the water. Could I just use the phone, love? So she calls her colleague, the same one that was talking to her earlier, to tell them about her brother being murdered, and then suddenly out of nowhere, the Mother Superior walks in and says that her visions, I love your visions are from the past and from your future. The power of the dark side is quite strong. The lure of the dark side is strong, young Grace. What? Are you quoting Star Wars right now? Are you quoting Star Wars? I would never quote Star Wars and an independent property. No, not at all. I'm simply saying that the dark side is strong. The dark side is strong with you. Oh my goodness. So then we go on to another scene, and the nuns are like playing a game of duck, duck, goose. Duck. Duck. Another Scottish. Duck. 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 A goose. A goose. You're the goose. Now you run around and try to catch me. But you're the goose. No, you're the goose. I was the duck. I've been a duck. You're the goose. No, I'm the duck. You're the goose. Oh, fine. Let's just all run around in a weird circle for no reason. And then the nuns walk around again, chanting in some weird Latin language, and I think they're saying something along the lines of "You spin me right round, baby, right round, like a record, right round, right round, right round." That's not what they sang, and you didn't even use Latin. Fine. Well, then we see another scene of Mother Superiors being questioned by the Pope. Mother Superior, thank you for standing by, and I've just got a couple of questions for you, but first and foremost, why did you watch this man? Oh, his blood crabs all over him, sir. He's quite dirty. Alright, and how exactly did you carry him back in? Popped him in the old shoulder, did you? Well, as a matter of fact, I did pop him in the old shoulder. I was a footballer in my younger days, and I can pick up 13 stone now, sir. Don't judge me by my old age. Alright, next question. Mother Superior. This is an important one. You must answer me. Alright, who killed Jessica Rabbit? Who killed Roger Rabbit? What? Everybody knows it was Jessica Rabbit, of course. Alright. I want you know. Last question. Peanut butter and jelly at PB and banana. Are you mad, lad? Of course it's both. Depends on the day, or the time of the day. Alright, Mother Superior, you must admit this one. But next time I'll get you. Oh my goodness, what the hell are you talking about? He didn't ask her anything about those things. Only thing he asked her is about whether or not she washed him and why, and how did he get carried back up. Well, that's just part of the interview you saw, but I saw the extended director's cut of the movie, so joke's on you, Billy. Oh. Of course. Okay, so then we find out that this journal is written in some kind of code that only Grace and her brother can understand because they wrote it together as children, right? That's right. Yeah, it's a code that they came up with when they were children. And then we flash back to Grace and her brother again, and now we find out that both kept in cages. Don't forget the mother is also kept in a cage. But we don't know why. And then we see a scene of the father terrorizing them. You bloody stay on your bloody cage, Grace, ya bitch. That's right. We'll call you bitch, Grace, because that's what you are. Now, Grace, your gaze upon this cross, young Grace. It is your salvation. And somehow Grace escapes and goes and lets her mother out of her cage. And then Grace runs up the stairs as the mother runs out of the house. But the mother is chased by the father. And eventually we see Grace looking out the window as her mother is just stabbed to death brutally by her father for some reason. My goodness. Yeah, that was a little graphic. I don't know. Well, why was she kept in a cage? No, it's not explained to us. So she gets scared and hides underneath the bed, but somehow her father sees her, and suddenly the dad is hit by someone and presumably killed. We don't know what happened to him. Oh no, we know that he's in jail, so he's not dead. Oh my goodness. And overstart. Okay, now back to the future. We're back in the present now, Marty. We're here to see about your kids. They're fuck-ups. So we're back in the present, and she's walking around the convent, Grace is, as she was translating some of the brother's book. And apparently the brother came back to look for a relic. And then we flash back again to the past. We gotta back to the past, Marty. And the kids are being adopted by another nun and another priest. But they stop suddenly and they drop the brother off in the middle side of the road, right? Yeah, they just drop him off like he's some kind of trash or something. They just leave him on the side of the road and they take off with her. Fuck you. We don't want you. We just want your sister. So long, you little bastard. And they take off, but not before they get too far. Suddenly, crashes onto a giant truck, and of course, Grace survives. But we don't know we don't know what happened to the mother and the father who abducted her, or I don't know what happened. We don't know what's going on at this point. We know that a mother and a sister and a priest took both. The brother gets hopped off and they want the girl for some reason. I don't know. Okay. Then we continue with Grace now looking at the book of nuns throwing themselves over the cliff. Now, this isn't a book. She's not seeing this or having a vision. She's seeing this in an actual book. And they bring her yet another book that now has the same language that her brother and herself used. Yeah, that was a very interesting portion of the movie. I thought her brother and her had made up the language. That was the impression we were given before. That's right. At this point, we think that language is code between a brother and a sister, but it turns out that there's more to that. That language is, I guess, not just their own. And in that book, by the way, the size of those books, what do you think about the size of those books? I mean, that's when books were books, you know what I mean? Not like little things that people got nowadays. Those were like big old books, like the big old women in San Antonio, like Charles Barkley likes to say. Oh my goodness. You just quote Charles Barkley? Wow, you're like inside the NBA? Oh my goodness. Okay, I'm glad it was you and not me. Oh, what? Why? But the big old women in San Antonio? Oh, Billy, you did it again. Oh, you're gonna be in trouble now. Oh, I'll be all right. Okay, so this book translates itself again, or at the vision, the audience sees that this is translated now, or some lines in the book, one line actually, is translated to say, the lights of the morning star are guarding the relic. And then suddenly, I didn't mention this earlier, but inside the convent, there was always a scene of this nun guarding a door. And it was locked, and there was a nun in front of it. And now that door is suddenly open. And of course, Grace, I must say what's in here, love. Is this where you watch your football matches? Is this where you keep your kit? Is the English kit here? There's no way you guys wear all these outfits the entire time. You must wear your English kit when England is playing, especially the German. So she goes inside and winds up getting a vision of her brother being tortured on this wooden bed by the nuns and Father Romero, and the father who also wound up dead. So now the audience, we see now, and he's being squished like these nuns are jumping up and down on him on another. He's like a sandwich, right? Yeah, he's definitely being sandwiched by the nuns. And the nuns are just, they're being brutal. Yeah, and the nuns are like, ha 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 ha, jump higher, lads, jump higher, ha ha ha. We gotta crush this place. We gotta jump. And they're jumping up and down, and the priest is telling him, you tell me where the relic is, you bloody bastard, or else you poke you with this bloody poker here. What? Oh, the priest was, telling him to tell him where the relic is, or he'll poke him with that poker there. Oh, okay. Thanks for the translation. Oh, yeah, no worries. That's why I'm here. And then somehow, the brother winds up getting a hold of the poker and grabs it and is like, oh, you bloody bastard! How you like this? And pokes the other priest. And the other priest is now dead. Okay. So we see that in the flashback, and then after that flashback, or rather the flashback ends with a nun walking into the room holding a knife. With a knife, you run away. With a gun, you charge. With a knife, you run away. And she's holding a knife and she's about to stab her, and suddenly she starts stabbing herself. What the hell? Like every time something nears Grace, some shit happens to this person, right? It's like she's cursed or something. Grace is cursed. I think right now the audience is starting to get a sense for what Grace is, honestly. Yeah. So then she gets taken to jail, where she's questioned by Detective Harris again, and he says something along the lines of, that Grace, somehow you end up in a room with a dead nun and you're saying to me that she killed herself? You sound like one of them nuts. Oh, I kind of understood that. I think you said somehow Grace wound up in a room with a dead nun, and you're saying that she killed herself, and then he calls her a nut. That's exactly what he said. Congratulations, Bill. Well, translating is one of my many features. It's my latest update, actually. Oh, okay. Cool. And then somehow Grace is released because Mother Superior said that another nun saw the sister stab her chef with the knife. But there was nobody there, right? And now Mother Superior, for some reason, is now helping her get out of the crime. I don't know how. It's not like she committed the crime, but that definitely wasn't anybody else in there. That's right. So once she leaves the prison, she heads immediately, Grace does, to visit her adoptive father in prison. He wasn't dead, as we said earlier. Grace, Grace, what are you visiting me for? The football match is about to start. The English are playing. You come and visit me on the worst absolute possible day. The boys are sitting down watching the football match, and I'm sitting here talking to you. What do you want, Grace? On with it. Spit it out. And then she tells him that Michael is dead, her brother. Dad, Papa, Father, I had to break it to you, but no, the English are doomed against England, and also Michael's dead. I'm sorry, Father. Well, here's what I want you to do. Number one, I want you to make sure that the English beat those damn Germans in the football match. And number two, I want you to bring back Michael the same way that you brought me back. I should have died that night on a boat, and somehow you brought me back. Wherever you go, there's death and destruction, Grace. It's in your shadow. Now again, if there isn't anything else, I got a football match to watch, Grace. Have some decency. For Lord's sake, coming over on match day that you're dark and demented, Grace. You could have saved your mother that night, but you chose not to. You chose to watch the football match instead, didn't you, Grace?
Father, you kept us in cages. I couldn't watch the football match.
Now, you chose to stay in that cage. Grace, you chose it. The key was there. You could have opened the key anytime you wanted with your dark powers.
What I mean, dark powers, Father?
Oh, I'm spoiled. I've said too much. I've got to watch the football match. Goodbye, Grace.
And he hands up the phone and he goes. Oh, my goodness. So in the next scene we get is the nuns now lying face down in the convent, and the mother says to the detective, Detective Harris, are you bloody dance or something? It's Grace who's the relic. She's the relic. It's not an actual artifact. Grace is the relic, you dance Harris. And Grace drives back to the convent looking for Father Romero. Padre, I know you're here. Face me. I've got an accusation to make. And as soon as she arrives, another nun tries to stab her, but somehow the nun's arm is broken in half and drops the knife. Ah, my blind arm! Lord, my arm! And then remember that scene where she chased the young nun? We see that again now. So she was seeing a vision from earlier, but this time it's for real. So she chases that young nun. And when we get to the location where the chase ends, somewhere on the grounds of the convent, but not the convent itself, she sees the nun slice her vents and then sees a nun ghost in the mirror that's bloodied. And at this point now, she realizes that she's the demon. She is herself the relic. And now she sees that wherever she goes, death and destruction do indeed follow. Her father was right. Yeah, and now it's revealed to all of us in the audience. And I guess we had a little bit of maybe we were starting to think that she herself was maybe possessed. I thought she was possessed. But she's a demon. She's not possessing anybody. She just is a demon. And that's what I meant earlier. It's a different take on the old demonic possession. I loved it. Anyway, she returns to the convent and asks Father Romero for help. And then they carry her very much like she was in Woodstock 69, and she just did a stage dive, and now she's, crowd surfing. And the nuns are helping her crowd surf, and suddenly the father starts to pray. In the name of the Lord, the father, his sister, the mother, the aunt, the cousin, and the ex-wife, I consecrate her. And they opened it. Remember I said that you can consecrate grounds or people? Yeah, you mentioned that earlier. Thank you for mentioning it. Grace is being consecrated. So the demon is about to be consecrated. And they are ready to consecrate her, and the nuns open up another tomb, and she walks right in, not knowing what happens. And then suddenly, she flashes back to when she was first sealed by the Crusaders I mentioned. The Crusaders kept her in a cage, captured her, and then eventually sealed her to prevent her from, committing evil deeds. I don't think she knew, right? She was a child, but in the tomb, she doesn't age, it's explained to us. But this demon will not be contained. And she attempts to exit, and she's exiting, and suddenly a cross falls and stabs Father Romero in the back, preventing him from finishing the ceremony. Oh, Lord Almighty and his ex-wife, my back! Ah! And she escapes the tomb, and it turns out that she's a fallen angel. So, as we mentioned earlier, in an effort to atone for her sin, she didn't know any of this stuff, right, Billy? No, this is the first time she's become aware of what she is, which is, a little sad. I don't think she had any control of all this stuff. It's just bad stuff happens wherever she goes.
So in an effort to atone for her sin, she returns to the ground of the old former convent in an effort to perform that same ritual that the Crusaders did, that her brother did, of trying to absolve themselves from their sins by taking a step backwards. But of course, she had too many sins. Too many cooks, too many cooks. So as she takes her final step, falling indeed over the cliff, the entire movie is recounted before our eyes. So she's the one that knocked the father out before he could harm her. Or rather, her, the scene where her father gets knocked out while she's under the bed. She's the one that traveled back. She traveled back in time, Marty. This is the time travel movie. So she travels back in time and knocks the father out. She is the one that saved the brother from the side of the road when that nun and that priest abducted them, or, I guess, not abducted them, but adopted them, I guess? Or that was the point of adopting her, but who knows at this point, right? Because of who she is. I think they knew. And so she's also the one that caused the car crash by those two people, for the people that were in that car, her captors. And she actually saw her brother before he plunges to his death, and he's asking her to please not do it. But of course, alas, he does. And so he did, in fact. It is revealed to the audience that he did take steps back and he wasn't thrown, although he was tortured as well. But yeah, he did it himself to atone for his sin. And then she saw herself in the mirror as that young nun slit her wrists. She was there. And she then is the nun that stabbed the other nun that she was there in that little chamber where her brother was being tortured. She was the one who helped the nun stab herself in that locked room. And then she also prevented the other nun from hurting herself by breaking her hand and preventing that stabbing from happening. And then she, at last, is the woman or the nun that threw down that cross, preventing the father from finishing the ceremony with the cross, throwing it, launching it as it lands on the father's back. And the ceremony was never completed, so the consecration never happened. And she leaves, and suddenly we see another scene of her and her father. I remember saying that there's nothing that you can do. You don't do anything but evil things. But alas, she was wrong, right? Yeah, because in the next scene, as you're about to say, well, go ahead. That's right. In the next scene, we see her walking up to the woman who was in her office. She's an ophthalmologist after all. She heals her vision by touching her eyes. So she's not that she's aware of what she is, she's not using her power for darkness necessarily. She is an angel after all, a fallen one, but an angel nonetheless. And then she wakes up from her flashbacks as she's falling. And the detective, of course, who I didn't mention earlier, was trying to prevent her from falling, but they can't. She falls, but they can't find her body. She doesn't die. So she goes back home. And then we're in the end game now. Then we return to a scene from the beginning of the movie where Mother Superior points that 6-shooter at her. This town ain't big enough for the both of us, Grace. Fuck you, Mother Superior. I've got a football match to watch. And suddenly Mother Superior is run over by a car, and that's it. That's the end of this one, and what a wild ride. I gotta tell you, I love this movie. Absolutely brilliant. But that's it for us. And now, go ahead, the rating. I love this movie. A couple of things that just kind of threw me off a little bit, but overall, I would say this was a great film. A different take on the old demon and Catholic Church, something I hadn't seen, and I loved it. So without further ado, an 8 out of 10 for this movie. And if you're still here, we appreciate you listening. Follow us, be our friend on the old socials at Rick's Horror. And that's another episode of Rick's Rated R Horror Movie Review Show, and we hope to catch you again on the next one.